Hi there, welcome back to this series on IELTS. In this video we're going to be focusing on the IELTS listening section. So, the IELTS listening section is composed of 4 different parts. As you can see, the first part is a conversation between 2 people, and this is in a general context. And it's often got a transactional purpose. So for example, it might be one person trying to find out about a travel accommodation. And then in the second part, you're going to hear a monologue. So it's just one person speaking, and again, it's in a general topic, and it's just often got a transactional purpose. So what we mean by this is someone's trying to find out information or giving information. So it might be giving information about the opening of a new park. And then in the third part, it's again back to a conversation, but this time it could be up to 3 people in that conversation, and it's in an academic context. So it might be a group of students getting together to discuss what they're going to do for their presentation next week. And then in the last part, you will see a monologue again, but this is in an academic context. So most frequently, it's a teacher or a professor giving a lecture on a certain subject. So you have these 4 sections, and in each section you have 10 questions to answer. And that's how you're assessed, and those questions take about 6 or 7 different formats, and I'll go into them in the next section of the video. Okay, in this next part we're going to look at the different question types you might face during the IELTS listening. So as already mentioned, the IELTS listening is exactly the same whether you're taking the academic or the general. So you're going to face the same types of questions, so there's no difference. So these are kind of the main 6 types of questions. Sometimes the last one is split into 2 different categories. I'll talk about that a bit more in a second. So the first one you might face is the notes, summary, table / flowchart completion. So hopefully there'll be an example for you. And as you can see from the example, the instructions are given at the top, and it's very important that you read these instructions very carefully so you understand how many words you need to write to complete this type of question. So for this example, you can see it says no more than 2 words and or a number. So this can get a little bit confusing, and often students might make a mistake. So what's really key is to follow the instructions. So you can write 1 word as an answer, that's absolutely fine. You can write 2 words, that's also absolutely fine. You can write 1 word and a number as an example, and you can also write 2 words and a number, but you can't write 3 words, which is really, really important to really read these instructions and use that time to fully understand what you're looking at. So another type of question is multiple choice, which is probably the most simple format, but they can kind of take 2 different forms as well. So you can have a standard multiple choice where you just have alternatives, maybe varying from A to C, or sometimes you might select 2 letters, yeah? So you might say, choose the 2 correct answers. So hopefully there'll be another example for you, and you can kind of get a feel of what it looks like on the paper. And then the next type of questions are short answer questions. So in short answer questions, it kind of says what it is. There's a very short question, and you need to again give your answer in the stipulated word limit. Yeah, so don't write more than what they're asking for. If it's just saying 3 words, you just write 3 words and or a number, or if it's just saying 2 words or 1 word, make sure you follow those instructions very, very clearly. Okay, and then the next one is labeling a diagram, a plan, or a map. So as you can see from our example, we've got a map here. So you'll hear a description of this park, and you need to label where the different features are on this map, where the places are. Again, you just need to make sure you're listening out and orientating yourself well. But I'll give you some tips in a moment how to approach all these different questions. And then lastly, we have the matching exercises. These are sometimes broken down into classification and matching, but they're quite similar. Usually you're given a box, there might be like names or dates or times, and then you're given kind of features and you need to match them together. So as you can see, there's an example here for you as well. So in general, my main tips is managing your time well. So you're given between 30 and 45 seconds to read over your questions before the listening starts. This is a really important time for you. You need to make sure you understand what's presented in front of you on your paper, and also begin to predict what you might be listening to. So you might see, a completion task that's looking for a distance or a time, and you already know you're going to be listening out for maybe kilometers or at a specific time, like 3:30 in the afternoon. So that's the sort of information you're already getting ready to listen for, and so you can predict what's going to come, and that will really help you with managing your time and making sure you're getting the right answers. Another main tip that I've given is to make sure you check over your answers and make sure you're following the right numbers. And so it's never really going to be more than 3 words. So you're not going to be having to write essays when you're listening. It's just short responses, or completing these little things. So it's really key that you follow the instructions. So when faced with labeling a map or a diagram, especially if it's a map, it might be really good to orientate yourself. So when they're saying where you're starting, you can draw on the map and trace where you're going. So you're following along when you're listening to the instructions, so you find the appropriate location. And when you're also studying a diagram or something like how it works, make sure you really look at it and have an idea of what is being talked about before you're asked to complete the labeling. Also, another tip is if you hear unfamiliar language, which is very likely, especially in the later sections, in sections 2 and 3, as they get progressively harder, don't be scared. Usually technical words are explained, and you're not being tested specifically on your specialist knowledge. It's more what you can extract from the listening. And what's really key, and this is key throughout the whole of the IELTS, but in the listening you're likely to hear synonyms. So you're going to have to understand how different words are used, and their meanings can be the same, but you can use different words. And paraphrase as well as another one throughout the whole of the IELTS is really key. So that's either how something is written or said in a different way, but the meaning is kept the same. So if you can focus on those 2 skills, it'll definitely help you throughout all your IELTS preparation. So in general, my general tips for practicing listening is it's quite a nice one, is to listen to music. So if you enjoy listening to English speaking music, or if you like watching films, that's great. That's a really good way to get yourself familiar to the language that you might hear, because it's not a different language. It might be in a different context, but it's still very useful for you to distinguish between words and meaning. So it's really important that you can do that. But for now, we'll leave it there, and in the next video I will give you some examples and work through different questions to help you on your journey to getting a high band score. And of course, if you can practice from specific IELTS exam papers, that's also very useful. Okay. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you are interested in studying further, here in Hey Mohammadi we offer an IELTS preparation course. So the teacher is myself, and we run regular courses. So if you are interested, please get in touch either by giving us a call or visit our website and send us an email, lilglobal.co.uk. And I look forward to welcoming you into the classroom soon.